wanted to do an update of the last video I did just now because I wanted to talk a little bit more about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane because it was a little bit I just didn't quite say enough. And I want to go slightly to the side so that you can see this picture. Jesus, the Agony in the Garden by Blake. Because there's more to it than Jesus saying, I don't want to do this. There's something else there as well, which which at least as I see it, Jesus is tuning in. What Jesus is aware of what's happening in a human level, that what he's being asked to do is sacrifice himself, is allow himself to be murdered by humans, other humans. Allowing this innocence to be sacrificed, one more innocent, along with all the other innocent lambs that have previously been sacrificed for the sake of humanity's journey towards God, a completely unnecessary sacrifice. Jesus, God doesn't want, he desires mercy, not sacrifice. We know this. Like again and again, we're told how God doesn't want the sacrifice of animals. Do you think that he wants the sacrifice of animals more than he wants your love and devotion? I was just reading that in I think Samuel saying that to Saul. Anyway, there's so much in the Old Testament as well that says the same thing. But here's Jesus. He's got to the point where now humans have taken it right to the limit, and we're going to sacrifice God. We're actually going to do it. And Jesus was acknowledging all of that in that moment of agony, in that time of agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, in his communication with his Father, with our Father in heaven. And he's sweating blood. He's got to go through this. And that's not just a human ordeal that he's experiencing. That's God going through, being sacrificed by God's creation. And Jesus saying to his Father, is there no other way? There's obviously more to it than this is going to be tough on me. This is going to be tough beyond human endurance. This is going to be painful. This is going to be devastating for the people I leave behind. No, is there not a way that these humans can be brought to see love without them having to murder me? And yet there's no other way. He hears from his Father, your way be done, your will be done, Father. And he hears that there's no other way, that's the way. And there we are. So Jesus isn't saying, oh, I don't want to do this, and just keeping in communication with God in that way. He's being completely his integrity as a human being. He's bringing all of that into his real relationship with God. And I just think that's exemplified in the Garden of Gethsemane. Because Jesus doesn't say, oh, I'm going to tough it out. No, he has a real conversation. He has a real battle in his being of going beyond what is humanly right, what's right and proper and good, and what ought to happen. There's none of that's happening, and it has to be. It's a different way that God's chosen. And also, just to bring it back to the idea of the boundaries and therapy, of course, when Jesus says to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan," Peter doesn't want Jesus to be caught and sacrificed. Peter wants Jesus to be happy and have a good life, and wants them all to be together, be friends, and carry on this wonderful existence where they are working through their working out so much in their spiritual development, and they're doing it in community, in this wonderful community of Jesus, the leadership of Jesus, and the leadership of that community that he gathers around him. Not even to go into all the issues of the men and women, but Peter says to Jesus, no, don't go to Jerusalem. That's what's going to happen. Just don't go. And Jesus says, get behind me, Satan, don't tempt me. Because you want what humans want. You're looking with the eyes of humans. But God has different ideas. And we aren't there to say what those ideas are. We just aren't. So Jesus knows how to listen. So again, back to the idea of boundaries. We're not here to be empathetic and sympathetic to each other. We're here to, God says, or Jesus says, hate your brothers and sisters first. Come to me. When you love me, you have to hate everybody else. And obviously, God isn't asking us to hate anybody. That's obvious, right? But God is asking us to love him first. We take our guidance and boundaries and direction from God. And God always directs us to love. But how that happens, we can't be the people who say how that can happen, because we have to, even Jesus has to say to God, how is it going to be? Because you're the one with the overview, or whatever it is that's happening in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is obviously massively more complicated than anything that we can kind of talk about in a video, but or even understand, begin to sort of comprehend. But whatever's happening there, that's our model, that's our example of how to be with God and on earth and with other human beings. It's that kind of, we have to tune in with that. That's Jesus is living this example for us. So yeah, there's just that there's so much more in the garden that needs to be seen and felt and heard and understood. And I just wanted to add that, because otherwise it might have been a bit lost in the last video. So thanks for listening.